Hi, I'm Stu.
And I'm Lee, and together we are two
Camera chaps. I think that's right, do you?
Yeah. Let's see. Cut. Just for clarification, this video is not sponsored by Canon.
In fact, we buy all our kit with our own hard-earned cash. Lee and I were both lucky enough to be involved in the filming of one of the launch videos of the R5C back in March 22. And we often get asked, do we still like the camera now as much as we did then? And do we still use it?
We do. I use it on every job. It's my go-to camera. Like the R5, the R5C has a 45 megapixel sensor that can have an ISO as low as 100. This gives you really detailed, super clean images. I predominantly use my R5C for statics. However, the AF in it is plenty good enough for action.
What I really like about the R5C though, Lee, is it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, this is an 8K camera that can shoot in RAW and it's this size. I mean, it's still bonkers, really. But the image that comes out of it is, I find it's quite clinical, quite crisp, and that really suits the kind of work that I do from a corporate stuff, where you're after that kind of, maybe not such a cinematic look to the footage, but something that's very precise and something real. And it's so sharp. It's a brilliant image from that side of it.
One really good thing Canon are good at is firmware upgrades, and there's been 5 since March 2022.
Yeah, I mean, I think even the last one that was only a few months back has some sort of about 20 improvements, and there has been incremental improvements in the camera in every one that I've seen. I mean, first, I used to have I used to have a frustration was there was a big delay, and when you had the camera and you switched from video to photo, I know it didn't bother you so much, but it was kind of like you're waiting for like 8 or 10 seconds for it going while it was changing over. The boot up time between them that's been massively improved. Now it's
You're
seconds.
Quite impatient.
I am quite impatient, and it takes seconds now to switch over in that one. Yeah. Second one I like is there was definite improvement in the autofocus. I mean, when we're talking face detecting and tracking moving people using continuous AFC, it got more accurate, more sticky onto people. I found that was good. Number 3, I use a C70 a lot as my B camera, and I found that the BT, the Canon 709 colour profile when it came out, just allows those cameras to work nicer together. I think the profile works well. If you're not shooting in log, it's kind of the closest thing, so I tend to always use it in that mode. Yeah, exactly. So when we're doing that, you'll be matching stuff, and I find it easy to match in there. And really, you've got the ultimate one, I suppose, the elephant in the room is the new power saving mode.
Power, yes. Well, shooting stills, it doesn't really affect me that much. I can shoot with the internal battery nigh on all day. I tend to like using the grip, the BGR10.
Yeah.
And then you've got 2 batteries in there, twice as much time.
What sort of runtime do you get out of that shooting
So
stills?
if it was continuously running video with the internal battery, you get around 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Of course, if 2 batteries in the grip, 80 minutes.
And that's 80 minutes continuous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not switching on and off in between.
Yeah. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. We are asking, I mean, when you look at the fact, what we've got here, a small battery, like so, and yet most cinema batteries use a V-lock like this. So why are we that surprised that it doesn't last that long in a camera shooting 8K RAW when a lot of cinema cameras use one of these about every 2 hours?
Yeah.
So I'm not that surprised anyway. In fact, I'm quite impressed how they get it to get that power for something so small. But there has been so much said on the forums since the launch about the camera is power hungry, and it is. In fact, I think it's more power hungry when you're using it in 4K than 8K. It's something to do with the downsampling. It's using more power than it is using in 8K. But there are some solutions that have come out now, but the main one obviously that Canon did, and I'm really pleased they did it, is the incorporation of the power save mode in the menu, which is in the little spanner menu. When you look in the menu on the camera, it basically just means if you're using the internal battery, it gives you about a 40% uplift in runtime. So we, like you said, 80 minutes on your. I did a test recently. 80 minutes in the grip. Your camera would 130. Yeah, and that's continual again. So that's going to last you a long time. If that's not long enough, there are some other options that are adopted by quite a few people now. Probably the most common one, I would say. I mean, some people do run them on V-locks, but that means an elaborate kind of cage system and everything else to go on there. So that's not for everybody, I admit. Probably the easiest and practical one is these PD power bricks.
Yeah, I've got one of them.
This Anker one, 26,000 milliamp hours, I think. That one, amazingly, plugs into the USB-C on the camera, no problem whatsoever. I did a test on that one. I can run it at a corporate event, leave it plugged in, 7 hours. So, you know, that's got to be enough for most people. That's continual running as well. The only thing I would say is the reason I don't adopt that as my everyday run and gun setup is the number of times I've had that plugged into the camera, this either on a tripod or somewhere else. I've walked away and I'm tethered to the camera, and it's either ripped it out of here or thankfully come out of the socket of the camera. So it's a good solution for just running the camera, but probably not the absolute best. I'll put that one there. One thing that's been landed on our desk recently is coming from TILTA, and I actually think this is really good. I can't. It's light. It seems well made. It seems a good kit, but in effect, it's a grip, and this whole unit is a battery. Inside there is a 50 watt-hour battery, and I ran a test again, even without the power save on, and it ran the whole camera recording in 4K 25 for about 4 hours. And of course, when that ran out, you've then got the internal battery still which gave me about another 40 minutes. So it was near on 5 hours. And I just thought it was good. I mean, I looked on the website. There's a nice run stop feature, so you can actually start and stop the camera on the camera when it's running in there, which is no problem. It's got this kind of twist grip thing. This one release, single release kit now, which I find really good when you just let one test it. So I have to say, TILTA did a very good job on that one. And if I was shooting the camera maybe as like a wedding photographer or someone else where you don't want to fear running out of battery, I would either be running from a PD power supply or one of those. I mean,
I really like that.
For you, the grip is good. And I think if you're on anything that's kind of like a half-day shoot, anything else where you're not leaving the camera all day, the grip would do fine. No cables, no extra batteries, minimal extra weight. But to see there is options now, so it's not the problem it once was. That's the main thing.
Of course, if you haven't got the budget for that at the moment, or you're just out somewhere and you haven't got your grip with you, there's a little hack we've found that can help with the battery life.
I mean, basically, it's real simple. I mean, all it takes is that if you have a look on the back of the screen now and you were in not any record mode on the camera, you can see the remaining battery time up in the top right-hand corner here. And when you finish shooting, all you have to do is if you press the playback button or the media button on the back of the camera at the bottom there, as soon as you do that, just wait a few seconds, look at what happens to the time in the top of the screen. I think when you're in playback mode, it must somehow sort of switch off the processor or something on the camera, because certainly the power usage just seems to drop through the floor, and suddenly your battery usage time goes up. And I actually use this on a lot of event stuff when I'm actually filming stuff on tripods. As soon as I finish filming, I just get in a habit of hitting the play button, and it just leaves there. And as long as you leave it there, the use is tiny. It extends the battery life no end.
So that's power. Me and Stu, when we're shooting, especially with the R5C, we tend to use ATOMOS Ninja Vs. There's been some interesting developments from ATOMOS in Ninja V Plus.
Yeah, it has, especially when it comes down to shooting raw. And here is as if by magic, a Ninja V Plus. So yeah, I mean, what they've done is basically there's been a bit of collaboration, I think, between Canon and Apple and ATOMOS. And it's fair to say one of the criticisms of ProRes RAW along the way by those that aren't a fan of it is the fact that you, unlike say Red, you were a Red user, and you used to be able to get full control of the white balance of the ISO, and you couldn't easily do that. You know, with it, you had sliders, but it wasn't the same. And now the new firmware on the ATOMOS Ninja V Plus, I believe one of the Shoguns, the new Shoguns can do it as well, allows you to take ProRes RAW into Final Cut Pro, and in fact when you do, it gives you the benefit of being a drop-down menu where you can choose all of the relevant ISOs and a slider for the white balance. So a really interesting update and development on that, and it kind of makes it proper RAW in my eyes. And,
I mean, definitely.
I like ProRes RAW as a Kodak. It's a really good Kodak. If I'm honest, the only frustration thing is I wish you could use it across platforms, all of them. It's great, and I do use Final Cut, but I don't use Final Cut for everything. And not being able to use ProRes RAW in some things natively is always a frustration, but we can't have everything, can we?
No. Be nice, but we can't. So, the R5C a year on. Now, a lot of people were asking us, do you still use it? Do you still like it? So we thought we'd make this video, and we both still use it. On every shoot.
I mean, if you had to say one thing about the camera from a stills point of view that makes you really enjoy that camera, what's your favourite feature on the camera?
I think it's a true hybrid. I'm predominantly stills. I use it on every shoot. You mostly shoot video, you use it on every shoot. I think that proves it.
Yeah, it does. The 8K image it does it for me. I mean, it's a superb picture. It's a really crystal clear, sharp image. It's lovely in 8K, but also the down-sampled 4K image from that 8K sensor. It is just mind-blowing. It's probably the cleanest image camera I've ever used.
Cool. So there we have it. R5C a year on. Until next time, this is 2
Camera Chaps.